Come on, on the right side.
I'm trying.
I know you are.
I'm pretty sure those are going, right?
That one is.
Can you do that in
Give me
front of the
one.
camera, please? With the right hand. It's so funny.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, we're back this week again. Well, no, it's been months since you've seen
Exactly.
it. But anyway, the podcast is a little bit has shorter hair than it did last week, and is a little less pretty.
Exactly. We
sorry.
lost some of it. Yeah.
Coffee Girl's not here today,
She's right there.
She's here.
She's just
She's
not on
here.
camera. There you go.
but
Not feeling optimum up to podcast level, so that's what I was told this morning. There we go.
listen, this line of work isn't for everybody.
Exactly. It is hard. So, Vulcan sign, honey. Vulcan sign. There you go. No,
She's working on it.
Yeah, I know, but try with the other one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It ends up more like a
Yeah, the left is
the
she's like,
pinkies.
you know, like when the face follows.
So we wrapped up last night the last run of, or the last kind of group call of our first nutrition
Yep.
group, the auto regulation nutrition group. Before we get into the substance of that, I want you guys to know this stool you've seen me sitting on for, now it's been almost like 6 months
Yeah.
with this podcast,
Finally did.
was structurally not constructed in a way that was meant to support anyone, let alone me.
So that means that you could have seen Tyler just.
Yeah. If you
Go down.
if you do follow me on Instagram, you've seen it by now. But maybe I'll repost it when this one comes out this
Yeah,
week. But
like during the call.
but this
Suddenly he was like 10 inches
yeah,
shorter.
I'm on the call. There's 10 people on the call. Thank God I wasn't talking or anything. So there was no
That would've been
noise,
awesome.
and they weren't looking at me. Especially because normally people watch the view where like
Yeah.
it just pops up on who's talking. So most people probably missed it until the replay, which is everyone.
Yeah.
But I go and I like lean back, and all of a sudden, whatever holds the rod of this bar stool up just quit. It was like, I'm fucking done. It's been 6 months, man. And I went like all 140 kilos of me in like an 18-inch free fall with a dead stop right on my tailbone,
There you go.
all on camera.
All on camera. That's the
So-
best part. You became a lot shorter. Suddenly.
Yes, yeah,
First
actually, I
time,
haven't.
yeah. Then he played it cool and I'm good.
I just disappeared off
Yeah,
the camera
exactly.
and grabbed that stool. But anyway, that was our last call for that group, and there was kind of been a lot of, really good progress.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of really good learning that's been done that trip or during this last 12 weeks.
Before he starts falling again.
Yeah, is he gonna make it?
Killmonger will just fall and die one more time.
It's gonna happen. I'm gonna bump the table. It's guaranteed.
He's coming down.
But I don't know. There's so many takeaways from the first group, I think.
Yeah, because we got what we wanted. So the goal for the first group within 3 months, because okay, let's be honest, this was about clearing the signals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's going to take a lot longer than 3 months to do that.
Yeah.
You don't get to have to be in a confused state for years and clear it up in 3 months. But we had set certain goals for the group that I think we met, which was fix the sleep again. Not fix, but get your sleep better, like a lot better, right? And that we succeeded at over 95%, where people slept through the night. So they came sometimes some bad situation, like, sleeping 3-4 hours a night, or like waking up all the time, or getting very little REM sleep, or little deep sleep and stuff like that. And we have, the numbers are actually really good.
Yeah.
We helped with the sleep a lot. The second part was cravings, where I think I don't remember one person saying they still have cravings.
No. Yeah.
Like that's been gone. I mean, it was gone. It was the sleep and cravings were basically early successes, I would say, within the first months. We got most of it. Then after that, it was behavior-wise, like for people to understand the connection between food and behavior, so they don't use food as a source of behavior. I'll explain what I mean by that, right?
On the sleep subject, though, what's interesting is like also most people that we talk to, like they don't need a 10% improvement in their sleep.
No.
It's amazing.
It surprised me how bad the situation was. I thought I had an issue with sleep, but that was just me. And when you realize, no, it's most people.
Yeah.
Now at seminar, I ask people, how many of you wake up rested in the morning, and I get less than 10%. 2 out of 20, 3 out of 30. Literally, we get 10% of people saying they feel rested when they wake up in the morning.
That's insane.
It is insane. And by the way, feeling rested in the morning is becoming the odd man out. In the sense of like, oh my God, I slept so well, I feel rested. No, you're supposed to.
Yeah.
You're supposed to. That's what killed me the most out of this conversation. Was like,
that's
guys,
normal.
Yes.
That's what it should be normal.
Exactly. The fact that you don't have it every day, that's what's abnormal, not the other way around.
Yeah.
You don't get to once a month going like, oh man, I feel rested, thank goodness.
When we had talked with the other episode with Kayla about the things that you exchange for performance.
You mean Kayla? Yeah.
Listen, we're not going to argue on how you pronounce your fiance's name. I have to leave it up to her. And I'm just going on what she told me.
Yeah, wait a minute. Oh, she's winning now. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you can sell it all with your French accent.
I'm still paying the bill. I'm just saying.
That's the French way to say it. It's much like I'm going to refer to it as my credit card.
Yeah.
South Dakota. But anyway, we had talked about things you exchange for performance and how common it is in not just in training, but in life. Like, one of the most common trends is, you get up stupid early and you're busy
and
all day.
You go train at 5 in the morning.
Yep, and then you don't get to bed till midnight and you're such a martyr, and it's like, well, you're fucking yourself completely.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not recovering from any of it. You're running.
By the way, the idea that we can talk about performance and not sleep
is crazy.
Is an insane concept that people say, I wake up, I will sacrifice 2 hours of sleep to go train. So instead of sleeping 7 hours, I'll sleep 5 to go train to make progress. You can't make progress on 5 hours of sleep. So that's what kills me the most out of all this, and what we saw, the questions we get and in the group and everything, is that insane conversation we're having. Mm-hmm. Like I get from, because we had a lot of people that were macroholics, like, counting macros or coming from other programs and everything, and they all came to us with shitty sleep. And I'm like, but if your nutrition results in issues with sleep, or at least is not fixing it, if your training is not fixing your sleep, all that stuff, what do you think you're doing?
Plus, I would say it's pretty well known amongst the fitness and training and nutrition space that the old saying, you can't out-train a bad diet. Well, you can't fucking out-train bad sleep. Christ.
And you can't out-diet bad sleep either.
Yeah.
Like, that's what surprised me the most in all this conversation was, first of all, that aspect. Like, we all know, sleep is important, but none of us is taking, very, very few of us is taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. Like, guys, if you're not getting if you don't feel rested in the morning, do you think your training suffers? Yeah. Like sometimes this is a Cassandra symptom, I guess. But so Cassandra, sorry, I forget.
That went
Greek
right
mythology,
over my head.
yes, Greek mythology.
The only thing I could think of.
Because I know when Tyler and when he goes.
Well, don't get me wrong, guys. If you've been watching this podcast,
hey, I'm watching Killmonger again.
If you've been watching,
just die.
If you've been watching this podcast long enough, you know that there are some moments in which I don't catch what Julian's saying. Yeah. That was one of them, though.
Yes.
Or where I pretend to know.
Right. So Cassandra was the spouse of Hector of Troy, right? Killed by Achilles.
Okay.
No, gotcha. She was so beautiful. She was cursed by Hera. I mean, by the gods, the goddesses in that case. That her gift would be that she could see the future, but the curse would be that no one would ever believe her. So when she saw Helen walking into Troy, she said, "These women will bring destruction upon the city," which was true, but of course, no one believed her. Sometimes that's a little bit how I feel. I'm like, if you do this, and this is what's going to happen. And yet, no one wants to listen. I think even Stanley Ferding, in one of his podcasts about the subject, saying, guys, if you're thinking about your macros and not about your sleep, you're a fool. And I could not agree more with the guy on that one.
Yeah.
It's insane that you're paying someone to program for you, right? You're buying your program out there. You're probably paying someone to decide whether you're hungry or not, and by that I mean hire a nutritionist. And yet, don't spend forget money, any of your efforts on sleep, on getting a restful night of sleep. We have our priorities wrong. Let's put it this way. Yeah.
And the other thing is, and it's back to kind of Stan Efferding's thing, is that for those of you out there who are trying to use any of this nutrition stuff to get stronger or to gain size specifically, you want to gain muscle.
Fucking sleep, man.
You got to spend some time asleep, and good sleep. And when my sleep was bad, I was still sleeping for almost 7 to 8 hours at one chunk, and I was still taking 2-hour naps every afternoon. And that was,
by the way, that was
was when and it was shitty sleep, but that's still 10 hours to probably get a few hours of quality.
Right, but
I still had to get it. It's the only way I was able to stay that side.
That's another one as well, by the way, because people are like, well, it's like eating chicken. Yeah, you can go eat it at KFC, which is whatever the fuck they put. It's not chicken probably, and think you're getting your macros versus a farm-raised chicken eating worms and dirt and stuff like. It's not the same either. So it's not about getting 8 hours of sleep. It's getting quality sleep in every night, waking up rested in the morning. Why we're not having this talk in the fitness industry? That's what, like, imagine the good we could do for this world if people could get 1 week of good sleep in a row, 7 days.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that? Can we basically issue that challenge where you're going to feel rested in the morning for 7 days?
What if you put that in front of everything else for just 1 week?
Like learn your signals.
At least in front of your training.
Like they all read about the fucking 83% and fatty acids and carbs and all that shit. How about you read on REM sleep and deep sleep and what you should do before bed, which is putting the phone down and all. Why don't you try that for a week? Like, can we talk about the stuff that truly matters instead of like the small off and then where to put your wrist on the snatch? And like, I feel like the fitness industry is evolving into a seller's thing where we look at shinier and shinier and tiny thing like this, whereas the answer is somewhere else and in a way simple part of human being, which is proper behavior, proper sleep. But
you know what's interesting is that I also think that is you ran into this, I've noticed. We actually haven't talked about this. Perfect time to do it right on the podcast. You know, in the very beginning, when people first started being aware of the things you were talking about, everything you do has evolved so much since then. But in the very beginning, people got drawn to this idea, and I think maybe falsely, when you talked about like the key log in their training. There's a piece that's missing, you fix this, all these other things move into line. And while there's always a first need to fix, obviously you prioritize, there's the one thing for sure. What I found and still find very often as people bring that up so often now still, is what they want though is they want that.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so all I need to do is get lats. Yeah. Make my lats work and I'm good, which turns into the checklist thing again. Yep. Get lats, get great, and it's and there is a deflection of personal responsibility sometimes with that I don't think was what you intended, but it is.
But he created his own monster.
It is a symptom that I still see sometimes at seminars and workshops.
He created his own monster on that one, and it's that. So that's why I think the most important thing we've been talking about on the podcast, and to me on the human side is the most important thing, is the idea that it's not about going from a 400-pound to 500-pound squat. It's not that. It's about you becoming the person that you need to be to squat 500.
Yeah.
Because it's not you today. Like you'll find muscle you never found before in certain weird places of your body, but you also will learn to have more discipline, to have more drive, to apply yourself to the bar, to apply yourself to your craft.
Yeah, you've corrected the things that are causing you pain and holding you back.
Exactly, like you have
further discipline because it does take more effort to progress from 4 to 500 than it did from 2 to 3.
And a greater quality of effort.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to learn your craft.
Yeah.
It's the quality that needs to be put in from 4 to 5 is not the same as 3 to 4. Don't think it's just more work. That's why I think people are lying to themselves on this, or we are lying to them as coaches, or the fitness industry is like what you did from 3 to 4. We basically want to keep that from 4 to 5, and it's not true.
Yeah.
It's a much different route every time because you have to learn new things.
And that's a very human thing, right? We always want to get into this like
it's a mechanical
like a structured, not even an out, but it is just easy to be like, just blah, 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 blah. But doing it is different than seeing it too.
Just keep going 80% for this and then put 12 more weeks, and then every time you're going to add 30 pounds and this, and I'm like, no, man, every time you put more weight on the structure, things have to be established. But again, like you're going to have to grow as a person to become stronger.
And I think that comes with everything though. Like anytime we introduce change to a scenario, so nutritional change, all of it, like human behavior is fucking weird, and people get really weird.
Summary of
yeah, that's the name of my new book.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like people get super weird with nutrition too, and we've talked about this in the past, but we notice kind of every time people start to go down the road with the nutrition stuff you've been talking about.
And they try to game it.
It's a game. Right. And it's more about hanging on to what they still have.
Yeah. There's certain things that I want.
Than doing a thing that they don't know of.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
And the not trying and the basically getting stuck with who they are right now. There's that thing where people seem to hang on to who they are right now and refusing to break that mold in order to get to who they need to be to achieve their goal.
And
right?
everything you just described has nothing to do with food.
No.
It's just people. It's the way it is.
It's you. That's but that's the human aspect. I think you can't sell that one.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's harder sell if you tell people, look, you want to make progress, you want a six-pack, you want to be stronger, you're going to have to become that person.
Yeah.
Not so, it's not, then you don't sell
but they're,
spinning wheels on a car.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not. It's still a piece of shit of a car, right?
Yeah.
And you just put spinning wheels on it. Well, that's not what a six-pack is, because six-pack will require you to become a human being capable of understanding themselves on nutrition, training, sleep, all that stuff. And it's fucking work.
Yeah, and you can get part of the way there without changing who you are. But to get all the way, you have to become that person.
But this is why when you have the six-pack, you're not, or you see your abs, you're not content yet, because you understand who you need to be, and it's in front of you, and you're not there, and so you get frustrated. And it's good, because frustration will allow you to kill your old self.
Yeah, because the reason people want abs or whatever it is their fitness,
is to be that person.
It's because I want to be more confident. I want to feel better.
They want to be that person.
But they got the abs.
They want to be themselves with the abs.
Did not
because
change.
They know who they should be, and they're not that.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to be the person they think they should be. Good. But then frustration, anger, all that stuff, that's the way to kill your old self and create a new one. But no one has ever done that by going, this is what I wanted, this, I want this, I want this, I want this. I just get to move that slightly and then to game it this way, and I'm basically gonna do what I did before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just with a new shiny painting on it.
Yeah.
I put spinning wheels on my car, it's a new car.
The larger magnitude, just do more of it,
No, it's still a piece of shit car. Yeah. You just put spinning wheels on it. That's, so I think fundamentally that's a conversation we should have with people, is like, in which way do you need to change to get what you want? And usually means action.
Yeah.
Action, doing stuff. And that's where food becomes a problem.
Yeah. And so in regards to what we talked about via Carl Friston's stuff,
mm-hmm.
food does kind of plug into the place of action.
Oh, fuck me, does it do? Yeah, so that's the issue. So we finished the call yesterday, right, mm-hmm. of the nutrition, and then we had Murray,
yep.
basically saying like, yeah, the nutrition is great because it gave me clear signals. But basically now the signals are clear, which means she's having an emotional response to certain situations, whereas before she had other ways to deal with it. And she was like, what do I do? And that is something we saw a lot in the group, saying like, I'm far more emotional on this and this and this. And I was like, good.
Because that's
the
reality.
Point.
You're
but that's how you deal
reality with reality.
Unless you have strong emotions about something, you're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to fix problems in your life without some kind of a strong emotional response to the problem, you're lying to yourself. No one has ever fixed a problem when they go, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No, it's like, I'm frustrated, I'm not even frustrated, I'm angry at the person, angry at myself, like it's boiled, and then you do something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what is required. And so, the key is, how do we get to that stage where they all felt such a emotional response to problem that before they could just bury? Right?
Yeah.
And so how did that happen, and why did it happen? And that's not something I saw when I started the protocol, but after putting so many people in the last 6 months under it, between my mentoring program and then the auto-regulation.
Well over 100 already,
yeah.
Plus another 60 some in the tank going now.
No, but plus that doesn't count the people that did it on their own, watching the podcast.
True. Yeah, that's
like,
true.
That's just the people I have access to.
Yeah, that's only people we've been processing the data with.
Like that we have access to on a regular basis, right? All the guys out there that send us messages, that's another, who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thousands, who the hell knows? Yeah, who knows? And so we saw the behavioral change in what they do, and especially that relationship food behavior started to come up more and more and more clearly. And that has been a moment of, as ex-alcoholics talk about, a moment of clarity.
Mm-hmm.
right? Where I started to see the connection between the two. And then we go back to Friston.
Yeah, I actually think it's changed, like that approach that maybe surprised you a little bit, or that response surprised you a little bit.
I was expecting people to be emotional because they're always about food, but
You didn't realize how far they had suppressed all of it with food.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the mechanism. I could see it, I just did not understand what was behind it. And now that I understand the mechanism, which we're going to talk about, I understand the power of it.
Yeah, and many of these aren't cases of extreme dysfunction.
Oh, no. These are normal. They're not anorexic. They're not. This isn't bulimia. This isn't 500-pound people. This is very functional people with normal life, businesses, gym, going well. You know what I mean? Like some of them with abs, strong and everything, just wanting better.
Yeah.
But
better requires you.
Exactly. Better requires behavior changes.
Yeah.
And that's where we saw food coming in the way of that.
Yeah.
And so that has been the most fascinating thing I've seen in a long time, because then it truly showed to me the Carl Friston model, all the stuff that I've been working on. I feel like I almost closed the loop with behavior by seeing the effect on the protocol on people.
It's interesting too, I've seen it over the course of the last few months. It's almost, I don't want to say it caught you off guard, but it's changed the way that you approach and think
completely.
and communicate it to people.
And on myself too, by the way. Because my level of activity now is absurd.
Yeah.
Like literally, like today, wake up, had fun, went to train, breakfast, went to train, went to play pool, come back, do the podcast, go train, have the call at 6, and I go have a pool tournament tonight.
Yeah.
And that's basically my days lately.
Yeah, especially the days when I'm here, where it's like there's like a very specific 2 to 3 hour block, like every day, where it's like everything else has to get fit in. We got to get here.
So I put everything before, I do the podcast, I go train, I go play pool, and it's like this. And we stop at 7, we go get drinks, we have dinner, and 10:30, and I go to bed. And it's been like this for like months now. And I've never had that level of activity in my life.
Yeah.
And now I understand why. And so that's where has been mind-blowing to me, is the realizing why I can sustain the level of behavior that I'm sustaining now, the level of activity that I'm sustaining now. Because before I would do that 2-3 days, then I would crash mentally badly.
Yeah.
Like almost depressed, like, oh my God, I'm so tired, I don't want this. And then I do nothing at home once a week. I do nothing at home all day, because if I don't have that day to do nothing, like you feel like I'm gonna crash. The abyss is coming, and I don't like not doing anything, but I would have to, and that's why I changed.
And that becomes a loop.
Exactly, and then you start to wonder why you need that day. How come? Is it normal? No, it's not.
That's a loop that I'm extremely familiar with. You know what I mean? A guy falls into that very easily. You could almost do it under the guise of self-care, if you will. It's like no, I just need to take it. But what it really is avoiding things, and some of it. Very often for me, it's just things that I have to do. And none of it's hard.
No, but plus you're crashing. Let's be honest, you're crashing. Like
because of many
people have to understand, we have circadian rhythms.
Yeah.
Right? Circadian rhythms means your body evolves on a 24-hour clock. Welcome to evolution, so do bacteria, by the way. And based on light outside versus dark, and also your gut flora and a number of things, you have a circadian rhythm of 24 hours. And then you have week, month, and seasonal. So anyway, so 24-hour circadian rhythm, which means when it's light out there and you have a feeding window from like 8 in the morning to 9 at night or whatever, the body it's daytime, it means sympathetic reaction. It means you're supposed to do stuff.
Should be daytime stuff happening.
You should be doing stuff. Being at home, doing nothing, eating protein is a nighttime activity, not a daytime activity. And your system does not care that you don't feel like doing stuff, because you know why? Because predators don't care either. There was a time where whether you feel like going outside or not, or whether you feel like fighting or not, they're waiting for you. They're gonna come in.
Yeah.
Right? And so evolutionarily speaking, we are designed to do shit during the day and basically heal at night. So going back to sleep, if you wake up non-rested in the morning and you do nothing all day because you're tired from the night before, then here goes the circadian rhythms. And now you basically, your entire system is starting to get pummeled because it does not understand where it belongs.
Yeah. And when you talk about, like, one of the things that I see most common as, and I do like this, is it works well for me when I choose to use it. But for if people have issues with, quote, whether it's depression or anxiety or things like that, one of the most common things to get them out of that just like funk, I just don't want to do any of those things, is either the night before or first thing in the morning, you make a list of literally the things you need to do.
You need, and
that day.
by the way,
and then you do them.
Out of the house.
Yes.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to be at home.
Yeah.
Until, like literally, you leave that morning. I don't care if you're outside. I don't care if you stay at Starbucks. You're not allowed inside.
Yeah.
Don't go home until you're ready for dinner, until your day is over. And then you're going to be outside. You're going to have a list of shit to do. And I don't know, pound coffee. I don't care. But don't go home until you go inside the cave when you're ready to, when you're done with your day, when it's parasympathetic time, not before that.
Yeah. And that it literally, though, is the exact opposite of what that feeling you described.
Of course.
And the problem is, what's the difference between the two? One person is choosing to go do the things in spite of how they feel at the moment, and the other one is just going to wallow in it, or even worse, when the body calls for action, because it screams, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Exactly.
And then you stuff it with carbs.
Okay, but then let's explain why you do it. Let's explain why that happens. Right?
Yeah.
Why, when you're bored, do you reach for the cashews? Right? So first of all, like to understand all this, you're gonna have to be honest with yourself, right? So do you do that? When you're bored, you know you should be moving, and instead of doing that, you reach for the cashews, right? Does that happen often? Do you have a favorite food that you deal with in certain situations in life you don't like to deal with? Right? Do you have that food that you go to? If you're sad, you go to a specific type of ice cream, like a flavor of ice cream that you like when you're sad because girlfriend. What about the one because you fought with your parents or stuff like that? You'll notice that you have a food for everything. So there is a deep, deep relationship between food and behavior. And now I want to explain how bad it is, right? And why you should not have that, because it's screwing up in everything that you do in life. Right, so to do that, we're going to go back to the Carl Friston stuff we talked about on the podcast, which you make a prediction error, which means the shit didn't happen the way you wanted. I mean, that's
the way it works. Yep.
Yeah, plus it's every second of every day because it's never quite correct, right?
And we mentioned that again, it's important to emphasize, this is neither good nor bad. This is not, you wanted it to be awesome and it was shitty. It's just,
that's what your nervous system does.
Nervous system thought this, it was either here or here.
Yeah, nervous system is basically a prediction machine. Your body is a prediction machine. You make the prediction with the brain, but the whole body is a prediction machine, right? That makes a prediction and checks it versus the input he gets from outside. That's basically what you do. So you always establish a probability of what something is going to feel like. That's what you do. And then you work out the probability versus what you feel, right? So whenever there's an error, there's three ways to deal with it. You have to change the prediction. Machine, whoops, I was wrong. Or you need to move your way to feel that whatever you thought was going to happen, happened. So that means that you want something done, but the world is not turning in exactly the way you want. Then you're going to have to make it turn the way you want, which means you have to get up your ass and make the world do the stuff. Right? So physically you have to be active to change the stuff. And then the third way of doing it is sensory, to change the sensory input, to change how you feel about the situation, to make the situation, to make yourself feel like the situation should feel like. And that is the source of most dysfunction, is that of the third one. That's where anxieties, that's where like severe anxiety, like debilitating anxiety, that's where mental illness is, that's where a lot of, not all of them, but a lot of that stuff happens into that third category. Sometimes continuously giving the wrong prediction can be schizophrenia, stuff like that, right? But most of the dysfunction happens in the third one, where you are switching things so they feel the way you think they should. So you believe the shit that fits your prediction, basically, and you make yourself believe it in that sense. You make yourself feel the way you think you should feel. And you see that in dysfunctional relationship and all that stuff.
And that trap right there, that fits into the self-fulfilling prophecy fully. Because it's like, I'm just gonna make this into this.
Yeah, and then like
and now you have this new tool.
The dude is an asshole, and you know it. And instead of doing something about it, you're gonna change the way you feel about him. He's an asshole, but he has good points. And then you're gonna start to look for the input that confirms how you want to feel instead of. Again, changing the prediction, that's not the right guy for me. Instead of, let me try to change him or the situation or leaving him in that case. Third part is, let me excuse his behavior. Because I'm not excusing the behavior. I'm looking into everything that he's doing to find the stuff that fits what I want. And it's bound to have some good qualities. That's why you chose him in the first place. And so you keep hanging on to those qualities, refusing to learn that the overall behavior is incorrect. So you see it all the time. But the problem is that's not just that asshole of a boyfriend of yours. It's all behavior is like that. And the problem is you're using food for the same. So what do I mean by that? You have a situation where, let's say you're bored, right? So you're at home reading, right? Or not doing much, right? You know that's wrong. So you get bored. You know that's wrong, you're supposed to change the prediction, which means this lifestyle is incorrect. I'm supposed to do far more. Let's say you don't want to do that. Okay, I should get off my ass and do something. Like in that case, usually your board is during the day. Means you need to go sympathetic. Circadian rhythm means you need to do shit. Do daytime stuff.
And by sympathetic, it doesn't mean you need to go into a blind rage, but you need to be active.
You need to do something.
Active. It needs to be more than sitting on the fucking couch.
Yeah, or even like if you're at work, like dealing on the stuff, not really doing anything, and you're like, I'm not doing anything. Exactly. You're not doing anything. You need to do something, even if it's, and by the way, I'm not saying about going in flight, going like, but I don't want to do the email. Yeah, well, do something you want to do, but be active about it. And then you don't do that. So now basically you're left with a third option, which means I need to make this situation feel sympathetic. All right, so we have a way to trigger a sympathetic reaction out of your afferent system, out of your peripheral nervous system. It's easy. We can have carbs. If I have carbs, we know that carbs trigger the sympathetic nervous system, so trigger the peripheral nervous system into that what we call the sympathetic state, right? And carbs trigger that. It's been tested many, many times. And so that would become the third option, which means I'm not going to change the way I look at my life. I'm not going to do anything about it. All I need to do is to have carbs that drive me towards sympathetic. Therefore, I change my sensory input. I fix the situation. Yeah. And to your nervous system, you did. Because you felt the way you were supposed to feel. And so now that you had the carbs, you're not bored anymore. So you fix the situation. Except you didn't change shit.
Yeah, and now you know what works.
And so now you have told your system that third option is a valid option, that all I need to do, and the problem with that is it's not a trick. That's what your nervous system is designed for. You have used one of the three options to change a prediction error. So the system is like, winning. So dopamine, all the stuff, because you basically won your state. Naturally, you go up the wheel into a state where you're like, I feel so much better. Which of course doesn't last, right? Because that trigger from the carbs is only short-lived, obviously.
Yeah.
And so what you do, you reach for more carbs, and now you've eaten a pound of cashews, and then you do it on a daily basis, and before you know it, it's not enough, so you need to add honey. And so you do that honey.
You're still picking pretty moderate options. I'm thinking like a couple pints of ice cream.
There you go. Well, yeah, we can get to that. But that's
you're staying much closer to like.
I was going with
people.
boredom. Yeah, I was going with boredom. But if you need ice cream when you're bored,
I'm from the Midwest, man.
Or even Jesus Christ. All right, so I see what the problem is. Like fried ice cream.
We're in Holland too, so it's just like French fries. There's stores that just sell French fries. Yeah. Like there's multiple French fry restaurants.
There's a store. Yeah, but they're from Belgium. That's why.
Well, you know, I get the thing, but listen, that's not. I don't know. This is not my thing. But
there you go. With mayonnaise. Yeah.
Yeah, with the mayonnaise. I don't get
exactly.
it. That doesn't work for me. But that's.
And so, but you can see how dangerous it is.
Yeah.
Right. That means that any situation you're not dealing with has a solution in a specific food. So that's why. Be honest to yourself. Like ask yourself if you have a food for each situation. What it means also is since you have a food for that situation and it acts basically just the same concept as a drug, it allows you to win your state. That means you never have to deal with it.
Yeah. So my question is this. So is this a matter of obviously it comes much easier and easier and that pull is stronger and stronger because the connection gets tighter, right? I eat a pint of ice cream every time I fucking... whatever. Like
every time I get bored, whatever situation that is.
Whatever it is. But is this a matter of, say in the beginning, is this just a matter of a decision then?
Well, that's the thing.
Like how does this,
we go back to the computer where, you're asking him to do a task, but you give him the improper data. To the computer, there's no improper data. There's only the data you input in, right? 2 + 2 = 5, fine. then he'll do every calculation based on 2 + 2 = 5. So the fact that at the end it's a fucked up result doesn't matter to the computer. He did his job. Your nervous system is going to basically try to fix prediction errors.
Yeah.
So
because it doesn't have, its job is to try to understand reality. Try to get the closest
exactly.
to what reality is.
That is a reality in itself. Perception is reality.
Yeah.
We say it many times. The problem is perception. So you tricking your reality with food to the nervous system is like problem solved.
Mm-hmm. So how does that cycle get broken? Is it, what I mean is like, all right, let's just say that's where I'm at, right?
Okay, so there's a problem. Is people have to understand how it started too. Is we do not have 5,000 years ago, you did not have the choices of food you have now. Mm-hmm. The problem is now you have access to quantities of food that we had never had in the history of the world, right? You can buy as much food as you want continuously, and with a number of choice of food that is insane. Like you have access to fruits in the winter, mangoes, whatever the rarest fruit, you have access to it. In the winter, you have access to any form of sugar you want, any form of carbs, any form of protein, anything you want. So that means that we got to a point where we have trained people to solve issues through food, because there is that one food that fits that one situation. It's different for everybody. But imagine you have the 3 stuff. Changing your prediction means you have to see that you were wrong and everything. Imagine the violence to yourself you have to do in order to change the prediction. You have to see that you were wrong, all the stuff so that's hard. You have to do something about it. That's fucking hard too. Because now you have, let's say if it's a boyfriend, you have to kick him out. You have to do this. There's violence of emotion in it. There's everything all the work that you've put. Those 2 are hard. And then you go, and all you got to do is change your sensory input. Oh, here comes, all you got to do is hide.
Yeah.
Hide and eat, right? Don't deal with the shit, just hide. Change the way you look at the problem, like it doesn't matter that much, you know what? And then that, I'm not sure, let me get some food.
Go find normal and good.
And then I'll find some food and problem is solved. And you do that for everything.
But that's a cycle. The question is, what would you tell somebody then who's in that point right now?
Yeah, so that means
what's their first step?
Yeah, so the first step is you're gonna have to, so you have to understand the relationship.
Food,
yeah,
but it's not about food.
It's about behavior. So you have to understand that basically and I'm sorry to say it like that because you guys are gonna hate me, but the more choices of food you have, the less choices of behavior you have. Mm-hmm. Like the more you are choosing food based on what needs to be done, the less you will act on it. So literally, basically it's a scale where if you want to do stuff, fix stuff, you cannot reach for food to fill that need.
It's interesting too how many people out there have a go-to for food for a go-to situation.
Exactly.
What's your happy food? What's your celebration food? What's your sad food?
Truly, basically ask yourself that question.
What's your mad food?
And you'll see what I mean. You have a food for every feeling you have, and especially the one you know you should deal with, and you're not. And instead you go to food. That is as fucked up this is becoming. We don't understand the level of, so basically that means like ask yourself this question. Could you have one food for breakfast, fats, one food for lunch, one type of carbs, one type of protein at night, or let's say 2 kinds of each, right? Could you eat that basically for 2 months, 3 months? If you think, oh my God, that would be boring, I got news for you, you're not doing enough with your life. That is the bottom line. You want to know if you have an issue with food, just ask yourself, can I eat the same thing every day? If the first thing is, oh my God, that's boring, you are not doing enough with your life. Not based on what I think, based on what you think. That means that you know that your behavior is not fitting to the person you want to be. And your biggest roadblock in becoming who you want to become is food, because you are using it to deal with situations you're supposed to act on. And that's what we saw with the protocol, man, is that the protocol allows you to have clear signals so that you go, shit, I need to deal with that situation. Does that feel good? Fuck no, it doesn't. Because for the last 10, 15, 20 years, you've been using food as a way out.
What's interesting is now some of the people that we've worked with have gotten to the point where they have clear signals, but maybe narrowed up some of their options, and they do have those situations where it's like, yeah, man, like I'm really seeing like, you know, I'm frustrated by this and these situations in here, and it's like it's affecting me more than it used to. And it's like,
Exactly.
well, good, because it's supposed to make you do something.
And no, but they were like, so what do I do? I'm like, you're not affected enough.
Yeah, because you're not working on it.
Exactly. Once you're truly pissed, and that's what we've seen even with muscle and stuff like that, like it's always something. It's frustration, anger at others, anger at yourself, find it. Whether it's muscle, behavior, whatever, it's always that, right?
Yeah.
So when you go, oh my God, I'm affected. Yes, you're flustered. Good. That's the frustration part. Now I want you to get pissed at it and then pissed at yourself for not fixing it. And then you'll start moving forward. But so, am I talking about an easy way forward? Fuck no. And I expect a number of people to quit at this stage. To go like, fuck it, I'll do this instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's easier, because we are, but look at society today, we are pushing food on people as a solution constantly. Like they're almost saying it now. You don't feel good? Have this. Coke, with friend, sugar, Coca-Cola.
A Coke and a smile.
A Coke and a smile. They're basically saying it. You want happiness? There's sugar.
Yeah.
They're saying it now. And that's a Carl Friston, that's a third option. This is the worst drug out there. You don't have to do cocaine, sorry. You don't have to do cocaine or heroin every day, but you do have to eat. And so that's what we see most of the time is how much people are thinking food when they should think behavior. So we saw that on the protocol with a guy who said like he had to have like 150 grams of carbs before doing a 5-minute workout. Otherwise he couldn't find the energy during the workout. That's not true.
Yeah, it's not the food.
That's not true. That's not the food, dude. It's you. It's not the food. Are you capable of training fasted?
Certainly. Yeah, I do every single day now.
But otherwise, if you couldn't do that, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
Imagine evolutionarily what that means if you need to have honey every time you train.
Yeah.
I got news for you. There's not bees everywhere and they don't work well in the winter. That means that basically one animal would have figured out that humans are ripe for the picking in winter because they can't fight for shit.
Yeah.
We'd all be dead.
You know, it's actually as we've evolved the nutrition stuff, as you start to find out, because this is the whole point of all of this, it has to be now your version of this. Yours, mine, theirs. But that has to work for everyone's specific situations. You eat different foods than I do. Yep. I've done the training fasted thing, and now I'm going to not. But I also did the training thing where I went straight up just honey during training. And I found that could help me get very sympathetic. But then I also found that I wasn't doing it unless I couldn't do it unless I did it with honey.
Exactly.
So I need to remove the honey, which I did, and then to start training without. Well, that doesn't fucking work very well right away.
No,
right
because
away.
you go like, I don't feel like it.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
And then
you know
have to
why
do
you
that
don't
work.
feel like training? So we have that stuff where you go, yeah, but if I don't have carbs all day, I don't feel like training. I'm like, exactly.
So you got to bite down on it sometimes.
That's not the problem. The problem is you are using the carbs to be in a sympathetic state to train. That's the issue, is that you should be in a sympathetic state to train. But you can't get yourself there mentally because you're not that person. You need to be that person to be able to train hard. You need to be the person who goes into the gym and go, I'm going to kill my workout day in, day out. Everybody talks about that. But you have been using carbs to become that person.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is you never had to be the person because you use carbs to put a fucking spinning wheels on the piece of shit car.
It's no different, it truthfully is no different, maybe a little less self-destructive, than if you had to drink 8 to 10 beers before you can socialize with people.
Yep.
Before you're comfortable speaking.
Exactly, or do drugs, or
and
it's the same principle.
Yeah.
Like you are using food to put yourself in a state you should be capable of entering. If you go into the gym and you need 200 grams of carbs or pre-workout to train, maybe you don't want to train. Or maybe you're not the person capable of getting into the right mindset. You are using food to hide that problem. So that's what we saw the most of, is the relationship between behavior that is necessary for you to progress and the fact that you can't get there because food is allowing you to bypass all the necessary steps. It's a skill you need to learn. You need to learn the skill to become a better person, to push yourself, to get sympathetic when you want to train.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're back after our first major mid podcast
Well, first
meltdown.
time in 20, I think that's okay.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Still working with new software, new equipment.
Exactly.
And apparently, I think
All
we
for
figured
you
out
guys. Yeah.
the only meltdown we had before was on a Q&A. And that was when we didn't even need the audio. So far, so good. Here's the issue. I don't remember where we were at.
No, so we're gonna go on something else. So we said behavior and food. So let's continue on that, because for example, what is one of the number of things we see? People that say I have to have protein all day to build muscle. That's not true. First of all, that would mean that to have protein all day means you be in parasympathetic all day, which means that goes against your circadian rhythms. Your circadian rhythms cannot accept protein during the day because you're not supposed to rest during the day, you're supposed to do shit.
Yeah.
Most of the time. That's not 100%, but you get the idea, right? You have to have food right after you train. No, that's not true either, because in most situations, you don't get food right after you fight. By the way, many times after you fight, you're still stressed out depending on the workout and you're not capable of eating. But you shove the food in anyway because that's what you do, right? So that's a fucked up relationship we have with food. And a lot of time, that's what you see. You see people being pushed toward behaviors that are, I think, self-destructive. Like you have to eat no matter what after you train. Yeah, but the problem with that is that, again, like if you use food, that means you're not going to alter your behavior. So let's say your training sucks. All right. So you're going to have food right after. So you're going to have, basically, you're going to choose a carb, usually sweet, that makes you feel better as a reward system. Okay, but how long before that means that you don't have to change your workout, that you don't have to get better at it, that you don't have to improve your skill or anything, since at the end you get to feel better about it. So to use food as a reward system to know, like, that's how I'm supposed to feel, I'm all for it. But is that what people are doing?
No.
Or are they using a reward system so that they don't have to change their behavior during their training? They don't have to get better at it. Mm-hmm. So if you get better at the workout or stuff like that, you would feel better. You would not need the reward system in the first place. That's the problem. So, because we see people game it. Like I talked about a reward system, and before you know it, everybody's gaming it as a way to not change their behavior. So that's the main problem that I see with food, is that it allows us not to change behavior. If you want to do shit in life, guess what? It's going to hurt, it's going to be painful, it's going to be uncomfortable, and then it's going to be awesome at some point, but not all the time. But when a behavior needs to be changed, it can't feel good by necessity. It has to go like, you have to go, oh, I don't like this, and then make a change about it. So if you go toward food that makes you feel better about the situation, you'll never fix it.
Also, because changing your behavior from something you've done habitually for a long time is this new exploration. Is supposed to be a little bit, it's supposed to feel unsafe. It's the way
scary.
It's going to be.
Exactly.
But those symptoms that I just described, that's like the level of, I mean, we mentioned as soon as we got into, you mentioned nutrition at all, the people from maybe outside who weren't doing it became very defensive of whatever it is.
Very emotional about it, yeah, exactly.
But now, even when people are doing it, it's like, all right, what if I told you, like, the things that people are attached to are fucking crazy to me too, some of them. And it's only because...
It's so random too.
Here's one.
Yeah.
This is one. I went over quinoa, so don't fucking get me started on quinoa. But like, another one's MCT oil. Now, I don't think it's bad for you. I don't think it's
the idea
whatever,
that you have
but
to
here's
have
the
it.
question. And I see sometimes, we should have some fats. And people are like, oh, I'll just put MCT. I'm like, do you fucking like MCT oil? Nobody likes it.
Coconut oil. Like I seriously let your ancestors. By the way, it makes me nauseous as shit.
Yeah, but my question is, it's like that's your go-to. Like it's such a weird thing for me. To, like, does it taste good? Do you get any joy out of it? No, I'm just doing it because you told me.
And then, by the way, it makes me nauseous. I'm like, then stop doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had that actually. The guy was like, well, I do coffee and MCT oil, but like, you know, all that fat is making me nauseous. Maybe it's the MCT oil you put in your coffee. How about that?
Yeah.
The triggers are so weird.
It is. Yeah. It's very strange. Or there's just all these crazy things that it's like well, when am I supposed to eat this because it's quote unquote healthy? I was like, I don't fucking know. Do you like it? Well, I don't know. It's just healthy. I'm like, well,
yeah, but that's the
why in the world?
So we're going back to the choices of food you're supposed to have. So how many types of food can I eat?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, one. Like what type of fat, one type of carbs, one type of protein. Outside of, like, if we're talking
outside of your vegetables and your other things.
No, but like if we're talking food to feed you.
Yeah.
All right. Rice or sweet potatoes or potatoes, one form of carb that you like. Some kind of fat, morning, for me it's more avocado or stuff like that. And then protein, salmon, chicken, red meat. Pick one, right? Mm-hmm. And that's enough.
Yeah.
Some veggies, salad in there, Technically, if we're going at food, that's enough. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is you going like that, that's boring. I don't like that one. I want more than that. Why? Because you have that food that fits the behavior that you should be getting and you're not. Let's be honest, that's the real thing.
Because if your food is really boring, what are you supposed to do with all the energy you spend making all these wonderful choices and decisions you've been making so far with your
in
food?
life? That is basically. So you want to know how I quintupled my activity levels? By basically doing that. So now I have avocado toast in the morning, and then because I can have fat, some carbs with the toast, but mostly fat. Why? Because I'm so active. Then I have rice for lunch, 2 cups of rice with butter and salt. That's it. And at night I have protein. That's it. I have zero cravings. I keep getting leaner. I'm still 100 kilos, so that means I'm starting to gain muscle. I'm getting stronger, and my level of activity during the day has quintupled. I go non-stop now. I don't crash during the day. I don't need a day where I do nothing. Actually, when it's light, daytime, I do daytime stuff, which is I move, I do stuff. I work, I do this, I do this, I do this. I'm at a level of activity I've never reached in my life. And I found that at 45.
And you mentioned this about when it's daytime is, there's always somebody people whose work or lifestyle or whatever requires some sort of exceptions. And if you work nights, fuck man, that's just probably not helping you. That is not going to be good. So we're
going to make it work, but it's not good.
Yeah,
let's be honest, it's not good.
And we hear this very often when we get into nutrition, especially as people start to clear up the way they feel about things. They're not depending on food, and all of a sudden their emotional connection to the things that happen in their day increases. Yep. And next thing you know, people have really, really stressful jobs that they used to maybe bottle a lot of that excess energy with food.
Or bury it inside.
Yeah.
Going in freeze, in depression about it.
And I do see it often when we talk to a lot of these people, is it's like, fuck man, how much are they paying you? Like, why are you doing that? Sometimes I'm like, what are you trading? Because that seems like...
Yeah, and then we have people who say, well, how do I deal with people at work now? I'm like, well, if they keep spitting in your face, maybe, no, I'm not saying grab a shotgun and start shooting, but maybe stand up for yourself. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do anyway. Yeah. So we see a lot of that. We see people getting emotional because suddenly they can't either bury it inside because now it's in the open, right? So they can't bury it deep inside and then block it until one day it explodes, by the way, and usually depression and all that shit, or autoimmune diseases or all that shit. Or basically they can't hide it with the food.
Yeah.
And so, but that's basically the issue.
Listen, and I would much rather protect my identity by being assertive to someone who's treating me like shit or mistreating me and say, no, listen, dude, it's not how it's gonna fucking work. I'm not gonna allow this boom, 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 boom. But people don't ever take that approach to their food. What they wanna do is protect their own self by saying, I'm the person who eats quinoa. And I make sure that I have fucking kale. Nobody likes kale. Y'all are pretending.
Not even in,
you know what I mean?
Juices.
Where I'm from, kale literally, they feed it to goats. And I'm not fucking joking. So the fact that it's in a restaurant, I don't even understand it.
No, but we get that with guys usually skinny that say, yeah, but I need to eat more, otherwise I'm not going to get big. You know what you need to get big? You need to train like a dude who wants to get big, and you need to sleep like one, and you need to do this and this. And the idea that you're going to keep your six-pack while gaining 40 pounds, or also they start eating, get fat, and go like, but I'm not training anymore. I'm like, yeah, because to gain, first of all, you guys don't understand what 10 pounds of muscle is. Like to your body, we're talking 2 years, 3 years of work.
Go buy 10 pounds of steak.
See what it's like, and imagine having to build that, right?
Well, if you buy 10 pounds of ground beef, most likely, even if it's lean, 1 pound of that is fucking fat still.
Yeah.
And 10 pounds of ground beef is this much fucking
You don't
meat.
understand the work.
You ain't hanging that on your body.
Basically, when you eat more to get bigger, you're just getting fatter, basically. That's what you're doing. Like to build muscle, it takes time. And by the way, it's a hormonal process, not a chemical process. It's not like eating chicken is going to build muscle. No, it doesn't. It feeds the body, and then the hormonal system makes it grow. It's a far more complex, but you're going to have to train for that. You're going to have to sleep for that. You're going to have to, if you're stressed out all the time, it's not going to happen. Like it's not that simple. But so now people like, I get home at 10. I'm like, good. Well, eat protein at 10:30. It's like, yeah, but I wake up at 4. I'm like, then it's 5 hours of sleep. How do you want me to help you if you sleep 5 hours a night? I'm sorry. You're not supposed to, as a human being. It's like, well, I need to make it work. Then is it working? Like, like that, the biggest thing we see is that in the protocol we do is we undereat compared to most people.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. You weigh 140 kilos, 315. I'm at 220, I'm probably under 10% body fat right now. I have maybe 2,500 calories a day. I have to count honestly, but I'm probably not much. You probably at 3,000, right? But everybody's freaking like I'm not eating enough. No, you're not doing enough. Mm-hmm. It's not that you're not eating enough, it's that you're not doing enough. You want just go harder in your training session. Put more fucking weight on the bar. Don't skip the workout you are supposed to do. Don't skip the 400 meter sandbag carry. Don't skip the assistance work. Do the assistance work like you mean it.
And when your body
put more fucking weight on the yoke when you carry it, because I saw all of you cheating on it.
And when your body needs to grow and recover and heal, it's going to tell you what. It's be like, all right, I need to sleep now. When you get rid of all that other noise and all the other things you
And when you sleep, wake up the next morning rested. How do I do that? Exactly. But the problem is the food that you're getting in is taxing you in the improper way. When you go to sleep, you're in an improper state. That's because you're having carbs. So you crash at first, but then halfway through the night, you wake up going like shit. You're like this because now that dive down that you use the carbs for isn't there anymore, and you can't sleep because now you're in sympathetic because your body has no fucking clue what it's supposed to do because you're supposed to have protein by itself at night, so you stay in parasympathetic all night. But that's what it takes to get all those goals met. It takes action.
Do more.
You need to do more, not eat more. Stop using food as a way to not act. So you're gonna have to be very honest with yourself on this and see but trust me, have the same food for breakfast, for lunch, one type of fat for lunch, one type of carbs one type of fat for breakfast, one type of fat for carbs, one type of protein at night. Separate it, right? Nutrients-wise, separate the macros, quality of it, always, you don't get to eat at KFC, and do that for 4 weeks, and when you're fucking bored, out of your mind from eating that, look at what you're supposed to do with all that energy. Because that's what you being bored is you need to do shit. Okay, go do shit.
Yeah.
When you finish your race, jump on a bicycle for 20 minutes, go somewhere, start doing stuff.
It's interesting too, when we think about, as adults, we think of, I'm bored. You turn to food, you say, what is a little kid, what does a child say when they're bored? Dad, I'm bored. Well, why do they say that? Because they want you to they want to do something.
Yes,
that's
go
it. Like
play.
a kid is, when a kid says they're bored, it's because they want to do something.
Yep.
And that's very simple. So if you're not able to satisfy your do something urge with food, with all this variety,
then you'll do something.
Good.
Yes,
then you
exactly.
might do something.
Yeah. When you're supposed to, during the day is moving stuff, go do stuff, go train more, or actually go do stuff you like, that wouldn't be bad, get a hobby. But so don't zone out in front of the TV. How much, people don't realize, but that's also what happens. I'm bored, I put the TV, I'm surfing all the channels, and that's when you reach for the food, because that's what your nervous system is asking you to do. Mm-hmm. And it's so hard to block. For the reason is because that's how your nervous system works. So once you start doing that, you can't stop.
Yeah.
Because you found a way out of the prediction error. And now dopamine is going a certain number of chemical processes are going to start to happen that basically make you go back to reaching for the carbs because you did not start moving. By the way, you're bored, you're like this, you start to get hungry, walk 5 minutes, just that. Go outside, walk 5 minutes, suddenly you're feeling better, you're not hungry anymore. Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah. We're almost out of time anyways, and I think I want to save the testing side of this, some of the experiment, how to find the version that works perfect for you. I want to save that for a little further down the line, because you just laid out a very specific thing that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
And if we start getting into variation and this and that, and that whole concept, I want to do that after there's a baseline. So we'll get into that maybe, if not next week, in a few weeks. We'll kind of return to this subject and get into the how to find that version that works for you. And some of the things that you've kind of learned and tried with. Because we have a lot of other people's experiences in this now to draw from. So there's a lot of, I tried this, it didn't work, this didn't work.
We're starting to get a good idea.
And that way you're not so tempted to go, well, geez, I can never eat
like
rice.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, don't eat. Find something else, but start with something very similar to that.
Like this is, I'm giving you the perfect situation, the perfect world. It's not going to happen like that. You're not going to do that. You're going to change your fats in the morning because otherwise you'll go fucking crazy. But the crazier you go over that, the more it shows you where the problem is.
Yeah.
Like how much you're not doing. And the more I look at people, the more I realize how little they actually do. People talk a lot, people express a lot, but they actually do so little.
Why are you looking right at me?
No, I'm not, because you're my co-host. Because you're my co-host. I am starting to get, now that I can truly see the stuff with food and behavior, I'm starting to look at people and truly seeing how they are not taking action. It's starting to, it's becoming like mind-blowing how, like the ways you can trick your nervous system around doing stuff. That's why I'm looking at people the most now.
Yeah,
it's fascinating. You don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah, well now it's because any challenge or conflict or questioning or anything that comes by, I just look at it and I'm like, oh man, like where are you coming from?
Yeah, and
like, what
you know,
are you
like,
defending?
Where they get defensive, and sometimes it's so random. It's like, why that food, or why this, or why this behavior? That's just learn. It's like Pavlov's dog.
We're going to bounce off of a lot of those possibilities here in the future. But in the meantime, right now, you've got your marching orders, I guess.
Yeah. No. By the way, there was one thing I wanted to follow on from the last podcast. So the last podcast we shot yesterday. So for you guys, it's every week. But that means that I had my pole tournament 4 days ago.
Yes.
Like on Saturday. And I realized what I was doing today. It's fascinating because I'm going back to me not being able to stay in flow under pressure. So my answer was going toward fight, right? That means sympathetic, that means muscling my way. That's what I saw at the tournament. So today I realized what I was doing. When you have the stick, right, we breaks it down in two. You have the second part, like the one that touches, it's called the shaft. Right?
Is that the hand end or the
where the other
ball end?
Gotcha. Where the ball is. That's the shaft. And then you got all the butt, which is the one where the hand is. Yeah. Right? And the further down the butt you go, like toward the end, the more power you can put into it. Right? The more toward the center you go, the more touch, the more control you have. Same thing for the bridge. If you have more distance between your hand and the ball, more shaft, you can basically power your way. The closer you are, the better you are at control, touching, feeling, but then the less power you can put into the shot, right? Okay. And I realized today that at my best, my hand is actually about, I don't know what is that, like 10 inches from the bottom of the stick, and the shaft, where we call the bridge, the distance between the top, and this hand is actually fairly, it's about this big, it's about 8 inches, fairly small. And I realized that why I lost it in the past and why tournaments did what they did because the second I got nervous, I saw myself starting to get more shaft toward the ball, using more shaft, and basically my hand started to reach back more. Why? Because that would allow me to use more power, which is my fight response. And that's how I schooled myself. My prediction is I need fight to get myself out of trouble. That was my prediction. So to get fight, I need muscle, sympathetic, power, therefore more shaft, more butt.
All without a single conscious thought.
Without ever knowing I was doing it. I caught it today. Because suddenly I'm playing certain way, and then because I realized that yesterday, and then I'm playing someone, and then he's starting to talk trash and everything, so I'm getting nervous, and before you know it, my hand is moving and I'm losing the touch of the shot, and I'm like, what am I doing? Then that's where I realized, I was like, no, let me go the other way, and then my entire game changed and started winning again and everything. I was like, is that what I was doing?
Yeah.
I didn't even, no clue I was doing it. It struck me today. That's what I was doing. My prediction was fight, therefore sympathetic, therefore muscle your way, therefore more shaft, more butt. And so before, even if my hand was correctly placed, I would basically place myself further from the ball so I could use more shafts, so I have a feeling of power when I hit the ball, because that's what I was looking for to solve the problem. What was the problem? I was nervous.
Yeah, and because it was familiar. It's the devil you know.
That's what I know. I go in fight. No, but I go in fight, that's what I do. So I look for power out of the situation instead of looking for flow, finesse, coordination. And that's how I school myself. And of course, by the way, when you do that, every shot feels more, you have more power, but you have less touch. So you start,
like, either you miss, with me? And it spirals out of control.
So now you're more sympathetic, which means your hand drops further, and before you're more in fight. And that's what happens. So my hand starts sweating because I never had the touch that I want to play with, because I'm actually a finesse player, believe it or not.
So is the solution for you to calm the fuck down?
Yeah.
Or is it just to adjust the hand position so that the action changes the result? Or is it
But that's going to be both. That's going to be both.
Yeah.
So that means that
but now you know, you're like, whoa, bitch,
exactly.
what are you doing?
Yeah. So if I'm shot, like that's how I'm grabbing, and then I got every shot going like stay closer.
Yeah.
Like so that's the two things I'm looking at right now is hand position and the shaft going like you're not allowed to change that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got back into circles. So as I get, by the way, now I can practice that because now I know where I fuck up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to practice that, and then over time I'm going to get a better touch out of it, and then I'll be able to flow within the shot as I should. But right now I can't flow within the shot because I'm so bad at staying in flow within pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So if I try to stay within flow under pressure, I just disconnect. So I go in freeze. So I'm going to have to basically, under pressure, play while feeling, and my hands have to stay where they are right now until I learned to flow within that as well. But that's what I was doing.
Wild.
So I have to change the prediction, which don't go into fight, you have to stay in flow, and then I have to move myself correctly. Mm-hmm. So that's the three option, the freestyle stuff.
Yeah.
Change your prediction, you don't need the fight, you have to stay in flow. Then move yourself differently in order to feel the way you should feel. I fucked up the third option because I was looking for a sympathetic reaction. Therefore, what I do, I change my option 2. I made it happen so that I would feel the way I think. So I changed my sensory input to fit the earlier prediction. Yeah. So I went through the freestyle model. To fix it, what did I do? I went through the freestyle model. And I was like, what am I doing? Because that's been, since last Saturday, it's been bothering me. And today I was like, that's what I was doing. I knew right away. I was like, I'm losing it. What did I just do? And I was like, oh, that makes complete sense. And then I killed the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
And
so
now you
that's
have
learning.
this new thing. Yeah, exactly. Now when you get into...
Now I can learn to play pool.
Yeah.
See, now I'm a purple belt.
Yeah.
Because now I can learn my game. Because now I can go practice. Now I have my half guard, by the way. Mm-hmm. I told you I need to find my half guard for pool. I found it today. Wow. I know what my half guard is. It's the hand position, the shot, and now I can play all my shots based on that. Now I can learn pool. Mm-hmm. I don't have to mimic anymore. I don't have to use memorization. Now I can start playing pool. Wow. Just like when I found my half guard, I found jiu-jitsu. I just found pool.
That's cool.
Oh, I'm so happy.
My training analogy to that was actually today as well, was that I had noticed, for a long time, and Christ, look at me, is that if my heart rate and breathing gets up, I am extremely uncomfortable. Because I'm okay with it as long as I know what I have to do, right? Meaning if I have to rip something off the ground and throw it through the fucking air, I'm not afraid at all. I'll get there and we will do it, right? But conditioning, the problem is as soon as my heart rate gets up and I know it's going to have to be there for a long time, the reality of it is like, oh, fuck. And it becomes very, so in order to train
of course, that makes you,
and then it makes it worse. So in order to train it today, what I want is set just a target. And this is going to be just intervals, nothing sprint intervals, but just intervals on the air runner, I said that right, and the assault
smokes
bike.
your hammies now. Yeah.
Yes, but I did it with one intention, which was I need to be comfortable moving in this, right? And for a reasonable amount of time.
Feel correctly, yep.
And so what I did was I wasn't gonna, I just went, and what I could find is as soon as the heart rate gets up and things start getting, it's like, let's just stay in it, see where it goes. And I could tell very simply, like all I needed to do, and this was a trick, Scott McGee told me this a long time ago, never fucking used it. But one of the things he would do when training is push and push and push, and then see how he could focus and stay calm in that moment. So he's like, really, really relax your face, right?
Yeah.
Just, And I fucking noticed, like, as soon as I started even getting my heart rate up, nothing uncomfortable yet. I'm like, fucking running, And actually, in hindsight, having just focused on only that thing, I don't care how many calories, how many whatever, didn't matter.
That's outcome-based, doesn't matter.
Get to the end, I was able to really push to finish at something uncomfortable still. But what I take away from the situation is I actually have better control of it. And it's not that bad. If I would have just let it run amok and let it all happen, it would have felt way worse than it did because I didn't have control.
And again, like for you to get conditioning, it would take a year, 2 years, so you have to maybe not enjoy it, but accept it in the meantime. If you had push and go like, I'm not doing this for another 6 months.
And that's what I do with my conditioning thus far, is I basically will go out and I can do the intensity thing for short amounts of time. So I'll go in and just fucking bury my shit. But that's pretty traumatic.
Yes, exactly.
and
it is.
And it's tough to go back to. So then anytime my heart rate gets up, I'm like,
it triggers, exactly, it's the same thing.
I don't know if I want to go there.
By the way,
today.
you move for 24 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's a good conditioning session.
Yeah.
How
For
many
a guy like
strongmen?
me, that's
How many strongmen you know that can move for 24 minutes? By the way, 2-minute air runner and
2 minutes on the bike, 2
minutes on the air dyne.
Yeah.
That's a pretty fucking big
Yeah.
conditioning session,
Yeah.
right? But that's what I've been doing. Me too. When I do the air runner, was that is like, it's not the number. It's basically based on how you feel. And by the way, don't cheat yourself either. Like that's the thing too. Is like, oh, I have to be under control. Yeah, that doesn't mean you don't get to push
it. Get there and learn to control something.
Exactly.
That's what I like.
So it's always that fine line for me between fight and flight, and I stay there when I do conditioning for as long as I can.
Yeah. Well, and for me, the reason, and here's why that was, I would consider that a success, and a thing I'm looking forward to doing more often is I have no goals in the conditioning department. All I want out of the conditioning department is to feel better doing and abs, but that's not a conditioning goal. You know what I mean? That's this is just doing the work, right? So, but for me, all I want to do is feel better doing it, so that I'll do it more often.
But you know, actually, in a way,
and I know that that's what's setting me back in my strength work, though, because now my breath and heart rate and that shit. That's the reason a guy sits on his ass for 7 minutes between sets. And that works for getting strong, but at some point again, you've reached the ceiling.
You don't need to,
and all of a sudden you can't do more work.
Yeah, that's a way out. Yes,
and even though you're good, you can't do, if you're doing good work, you can't do more of it because you're conditioning shit.
No, there's no question you need to be conditioned. But actually, Rich Froning, I remember when you say, how do you train? So put something heavy on your back and make yourself breathe hard. Then, that's it. There's no, but that's one of the cool stuff with CrossFit in that sense, is there wasn't always a number. It's like you're doing the number, but you can't tell where you are because, you know, on a run you have a pace or stuff like that. With CrossFit, sometimes you double unders, you do wall ball. There's no pace. There's a number to reach, but you pace as you need. And so just get your heart rate up, keep it there.
Yeah.
And by the way, you don't have to know what the heart rate is. It doesn't have to be 149. Nope. You just breathe hard. Stay there.
And for the CrossFit folks also, didn't note a single calorie or...
Yes, I know. Well, it's like the macros, man. It's the same thing as the macros for nutrition. You don't need to know your calories. Don't get me wrong.
The reason I didn't observe any of those numbers on the thing was because it was probably embarrassing. But, that wasn't the goal that day.
To me, the calories and the stuff is exactly the same thing as macros for nutrition. It allows you to develop gym habits. But on a row, you should be able to cover it. And go at a certain pace, and I mean, like, you should not need for the pace to be set.
Yeah, Andrew's been doing some work on the performance side with some of that stuff. That I look at those workouts and I'm like, oh, he's a fucking sociopath.
Anyway, he is.
It's like do all this stuff, but I want you to fucking tape over the thing, and you're not allowed to look at the clock. It'll beep when you're done. And it's
by the way,
I'm like, what?
Try to do that. We have we're going to do that in the training group we're starting in May, right? Because he's a performance guy, he's a pro rugby player, but now he has all those conditioning workouts where you don't get to see, where you are in the workout, how long you have left,
different targets.
But a lot of this is you're going to cover the screen and not know how long you got to go, how many meters or stuff. When he beeps, you get to, that's a fucked up one.
Yeah, all of a sudden, all that pacing you got good at doesn't matter.
You're going to have to go and welcome to life.
And then you have to know yourself. You just have to know yourself.
By the way, this works like that because when you wrestle someone, it's not all about your pace. Or you're in a fight or whatever, it's not your pace. Sometimes it's his. And you're going to have to learn to deal with that.
That's my favorite. We'll end on this quote because I'm pretty sure you had said this. I don't know I doubt that you coined this, but I'll give you the credit anyways. Was that like, you always have to be prepared to fight. Because a lot of people will say, well, I don't fight. I'm not ever going to fight. It's like, yeah, but what if I do? You may not, but what if I do, and you're there? Then what?
Then it's you.
So be prepared. We covered a lot of stuff today. Actually, honestly, significantly more than I planned on. Tremendous.
Good.
In a good way. I don't think we went all over the place.
Because we say with food and behavior. I thought we were pretty good.
Yeah. I like it.
Anyway, even if we're not, you're stuck.
Don't care.
Yeah, we are.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next week. You know the drill. StrongFit1 on Instagram. Tyler F. and Stone on Instagram. Everything else is at strongfit.com. You can even get to strongfitequipment.com from there. Strongfitequipment.eu.
Go on the StrongFit community on Facebook, because a lot of questions are being answered there. I don't talk much on Facebook, but on the StrongFit community, a lot of us are actually exchanging ideas and everything because the conversation there are polite and
open.
Human.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's usually where I do most of my talking is on there, because if you're an asshole, I don't answer.
Yeah. And if you do like the podcast, if you've been enjoying it, there's a few ways you can support the podcast. One, share it, tell a friend. I don't know.
Always. It works a lot more than you think.
Yeah, believe it or not.
It's like the ratings. The ratings actually help us. Believe it or not, that shit works.
Yeah. But the other thing is, we do have products that we sell. So seminars we have out there, the seminar tour you can find on the website.
T-shirt and stuff like
T-shirts, apparel. We got
T-shirt, that means you wear it, you put the StrongFit name out there.
Yep. Anything, we appreciate it. So seminars, the nutrition groups, if any of that stuff connects with you, that's how you can help support all the stuff we put out for free.
Yep.
So awesome. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.